We begin with the National Economic Council finalizing arrangements for the implementation of the Anticipatory Action Framework intended to protect vulnerable households and enable timely and dignified interventions for riverine areas in Nigeria. Now, this is one of the major outcomes of the Council's meeting earlier today at the State House. State House Correspondent Musbau Dan-Wahab reports that the Council is also working on modalities to encourage local production of small farm implements. Let's take a listen.
The 152nd meeting of the National Economic Council is certainly not one of the most attended, yet the discussions and resolutions are far-reaching under the chairmanship of Vice President Kashim Shettima. The rains are winding down for the year and the flooding about to peak. Fears are imminent again for Nigerians in the riverine areas and those along the riverbanks. The perennial challenge got attention of the Council as it received a briefing from the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, on the Anticipatory Action Framework, mainly to protect the vulnerable households across the country.
The objectives of the Anticipatory Action Framework include, but not limited to, protect vulnerable households, enable timely and dignified interventions before flooding peaks, focus on equity, ensuring no community is left behind, amongst others. However, Council resolved that the scope of the framework has to be widened in order to include more states and submit final document for ratification at the next meeting of NEC. Most importantly, Council has also considered the inclusion of measures that will be taken to ensure medium and longer term sustainable solutions that will prevent flooding or reduce the flooding rather than the shorter term non-sustainable solution.
Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi presented a memo seeking federal state action towards addressing the challenge of cost of production aggravated by lack of access to affordable energy and fertilizer, particularly for smallholder farmers.
Meaning that opening the door, bringing in more players into the production of fertilizer, and through either giving incentives or so the framework will come up, and that will show that by the time it's a concept of demand and supply. The more players are in, it becomes more competitive, and therefore the likelihood of dropping the price of fertilizer is likely to happen. So that's exactly the concept we are asking for the mandate to be given to the Presidential Food Implementation Committee.
The Council moved a step up for solution as the Vice President led members to inspect samples of battery-backed solar power irrigation pumps proudly made in Nigeria by the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NEC.
These pumps, they are supposed to replace fuel-driven, petrol-powered systems and lower energy costs for farmers, improve irrigation access in off-grid areas, reinforce Nigeria's food security strategy.
So compatible, it's not as good as these other ones. NEC assures the Council of its capacity to produce about 100,000 pumps of this type monthly. And so the Council resolved to notify the President on this towards working out more funding for the agency and support local production of the implements.